Hello there, my name is Raja Mahmood. I'm a content producer for Brothers Production Films. I am also the director, writer, producer of multiple films that are on this YouTube channel. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to basically just come on this platform and just talk about, everything related to filmmaking. And, our previous episode was all about why I got into filmmaking and why I love it and all the experiences that led to the current day. And today I just want to talk about like the films that really inspired me to get into filmmaking. I remember previously I talked about Spectre and Skyfall and whatnot, but today I just want to talk about like the four films that really touched me. Pause. But yeah, just like the films that really kind of inspired me to get into filmmaking and have inspired me to make the films that I currently make or want to make. So yeah, like let's stay on board. And also, please do follow me on Instagram because I do always ask questions on there. Where people ask me tons of questions, or just well, this time only two people. But please do drop your questions in the polls that I put up. And today we'll be answering two questions. So let's get into it. And please also follow me on is it Letterbox? I think it is. Okay, so we are now on Letterbox, and we are just looking on at my best or my four favorite films. Just because, I feel like I don't think I've talked about the other three, but yeah, firstly, I my first film is Skyfall. As I mentioned last time, I just really liked. I haven't watched anything before that, like with Daniel Craig or anything, but I really enjoyed Skyfall the most because, the cinematography was wicked, by Roger Deakins. The music was wicked. The directing was fantastic. I really liked the ensemble of just like the multiple actors who just gave it the best. And especially at a young age when I watched it, uh, in the cinema, I really noticed like all these things, and that's what inspired me to get started. But ever since, I'm not gonna lie, like it's when I watch it nowadays, still watch it to the end. It's still an entertaining film. I'm it is one of my favorites, but like nowadays, it's just like a casual watch type of feeling. My other favorite film is Indiana Jones. I remember when I got into filmmaking and I told my dad, he basically mentioned that I should basically watch some of Martin Scorsese's films and Steven Spielberg. These are like the classics of his time. So he was just like, you should watch some of those films. And my first couple of films were uh yeah. So basically, I started watching Steven Spielberg's films, and one of the ones that really touched me the most was probably Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this is what I had to say about it. It made me want to get into filmmaking. Such a great use of top-notch actors, story, dialogue, camera movement, and music. Absolutely fun and enticing, and very rewatchable. Also, the first time I learned about Steven Spielberg, and yeah, I honestly, the key point in that is probably the rewatchability in it. Like I remember when I watched it, I was like, I can watch this multiple times and continue to be I can continuously be inspired by watching this film all the time. There's new things that I can spot about it, and even to this day it inspires me the most. I'm so glad that I got to work on Indiana Jones, which was I think the fifth installment of the series. But watching the original three, it it's literally going to be inspiring one of my upcoming productions, which is called Pamela Ripley and the Smoky Bandits, and that's basically my first time of trying to do a adventure film, using the techniques that I learned on the productions, of Indiana Jones and whatnot, and also watching the films as well. So honestly, this is just will always stay at the top of my list. And I'll talk about something that's very important that is also another reason. And the third favorite film on Letterbox is Empire Strikes Back. But just generally speaking, the whole original trilogy of the Star Wars films. The thing before I talk about my review, like the thing that really inspired me is probably the motivation of just how much George Lucas had to persevere through those productions. I think I was more inspired by the story behind the camera than in front, just because like the story behind the camera was so intense that it just makes like the film even more beautiful to watch. Just to know that so much hard work went into like this film that is literally just still stood the test of time, you know. So my review is after watching the documentary Empire of Dreams, it goes to show that George Lucas was an absolute genius, and after making A New Hope, he now had acquired the keys of his own creative freedom and had an abundance of cash to make this film absolutely the way he intended it to be. With Irvin Kershner as a director, he provided an emotional layer to the film that's made it timeless. The special effects, music, and performances are absolutely timeless, making family or kid orientated films in such a wholesome contribution to cinema. And this film delivers on every level. I know why I said that because that shit don't make sense, but I think what I was trying to say is just like making family or kid orientated, films and actually touching a whole generation and multiple generations, that came from that. It's just such a wholesome contribution to cinema. I think that's what I meant, but spelling or whatnot. And this film delivers on every level. George Lucas is an inspirational figure to me, and it's because the one thing he invests in the most, and that's himself. And that's why I also love Raiders of the Lost Ark because I totally understand that it is also a Steven Spielberg film, but it's most importantly a George Lucas production as well. He literally he owns the property of Indiana Jones, and he just gave creative liberties to Steven Spielberg, which made it great. But the collaboration between them two were just so inspiring that honestly, like George Lucas is probably a key figure that's inspiring me the most right now in my filmmaking journey. Just because like his whole ethos, his business ethos was just so strong that he just believes and invests in one thing that's the most important to him, and that's himself. And he also said some incredible things that like have has touched me the most, and that's found in his biography book A Life by Brian J. Jones. I honestly recommend a lot of people to read that book. It's so wonderful. I remember it literally says like, you know, basically, I'm not gonna say what. I feel like I lost my train of thought there, but like I don't know. George Lucas is just wicked, man. Honestly, what can I say? Literally he like the one thing that like when I was going into these films like Indiana Jones and like 20 like the Star Wars, like I always used to see in the beginning like 20th Century Fox, or I'd be seeing like the Paramount logo and everything. But like learning more about it as I've kind of developed in this filmmaking journey, I've kind of realized like, oh no, like even though their logos are on there, like George Lucas is the most important piece of this pie. Like he owns everything and he's important. And the one thing is, he's actually an independent producer, which I didn't know was a thing. Like independence and producing and making your own films. That was just wicked to me. And like when he was talking, when he was saying things in his book, he was just saying you need to like have control. You need to own the process, or your process you need to own, and make that the most valuable thing that basically attracts people around you to basically invest in your idea, really. And I was like, that's what I want, that's what I want to do. And it seems like he's done it, and it's best to just learn from his mistakes and his successes and to just follow that path because he's literally paved the way. Um, so yeah, those are the four films that really motivated me. And let's get into the questions that people have asked me on Instagram. All right, so Zaid asked a film review of that film that decided you want to that decided that you wanted to be a filmmaker and why filmmaking. So the review of the film that decided made me decide that I want to be a filmmaker and why filmmaking. As I mentioned before, it was Skyfall, but I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'll probably give you another film that really touched me, and that's probably a Bollywood film called Mehuna. Honestly, now whenever I say that to like my cousins or my family or whatever, they think like it's an absolute joke. Like they think it's like ridiculous that I say that because like it's not the greatest film. It's just like it's basically just it's like a popcorn flick, really. And that kind of really, you know, that did help me decide to be a filmmaker because, like, learning about Farah Khan and her relationship with Shah Rukh Khan, I learned that she was a choreographer and she went from choreographing all the way to being a filmmaker and making some incredible stories like Om Shanti Om, as well as Mehuna and Happy New Year and whatnot. I was like, this is beautiful. Like the jump, the promotion, the way of like achieving your dreams and working with excellent, top-notch actors is exactly what I want. Sometimes you can't. You don't need to always tell artistic stories with the best actors around you. Sometimes you could just always tell just popcorn flicks, just generic films that touch a whole globe and just has a lot of fun in it. And that's what I really liked. And the reason why I got into filmmaking is because I just wanted to originally just like connect with one person, and that was like a family member that I lost. Not because of death, but it's just I've just lost connection really. So I was just like, I want to just get into filmmaking because if I can't talk to her, filmmaking is another form of communication where you make a film and then it gets communicated by just you just put it on a platform and you just share it with everybody and hopefully it would reach that person. I think that's why I got into filmmaking was just because I wanted to communicate to one person, and then ever since I've just been communicating to multiple people all over the place, really. Um, and that's what's so beautiful about like the whole filmmaking journey for me was like I never thought about like, oh, I'm gonna make a film for like a whole crowd of people to like be clapping or being disappointed or whatever. It was just about one person. If I can just make one person watch my film, I've done my job, and that's what keeps me going because I don't have like an expectation of like millions or billions of people out in the world watching my stuff. That would be great, but like it's not really my goal. It's just about like being self-sufficient, making sure that I'm achieving my goals, making sure that I can control the ideas that I want to share to the world, being able to control my process, being able to tell the stories I want to tell, being able to write, produce, direct, edit, just being able to like work with the people that I want to work. That's more important to me than just being a millionaire, billionaire, and having a lot of money. Because money is just money, really. It's about what you're gonna do with it. That's more important. If you look at George Lucas, he invested in educational institutions that helped the industry. He helped industry in terms of investing into new technology and whatnot. That's what I want to do. I want to, like, be a front bencher in the world of cinema and being in the new room of communication where we decide where is filmmaking going to go next. I want to be in that room. That's where I want my money to go, and that's what money I want to like earn. I want to just do that type of stuff really. So yeah, let's get into the next question. So how do you filter through your ideas and choose the ones you end up filming? And that was by Thomas Duffel, a great person, and he's also part of the BYFN, which is a Birmingham Young Filmmaker Network. Um, okay, so how do you filter through your ideas and choose the ones you end up filming? When I don't have any ideas, I have absolutely no ideas, and I'm always like scavenging certain areas for like inspiration. But when I get one idea, I get like 20,000 ideas where like it gets hard for me to keep up really. And those times are as challenging as me trying to find the inspiration, and having nothing to write about. So you have two extremes, and it's always hard to get in the middle to just ace one. But the way that I do it is like, when I don't have anything and I'm literally scavenging around, just like being part of I kind of just casually go into like jazz clubs and whatnot that are based in Birmingham, in like the Hockley Social Club and whatnot, and then just finding stories, talking to people, just dancing and just seeing people dance and just getting that energy, that positive vibes, and then being inspired. Like it's and then you got like other things of just going to family functions, going to functions just generally, going out with your friends, talking, listening. you always get inspired by those things, watching stuff and looking at paintings, photographs, wherever, and social media as well. Like there's abundance of stuff for me, and sometimes it does get hard. But once I get something, uh, I know. Yeah, so it's like basically, like how do I? All right, Thomas. I'm trying to get philosophical here. Innit? So, how do you filter through your ideas? So, the way that I filter through them. So, let's say if I normally say, or if you watch all the films that on my YouTube channel, or just browse through them, you normally kind of see that they're very genre films anyway. Like I never. They originally start off as a genre film and then they become a subgenre or a subgenre that I'm trying to do or just stumble on doing. Like I'll basically do, let's say, like a horror film, and I'm like, okay, it needs to be scary because that's what a horror film is. As long as it is a scare, it should be fine. And then I'll start writing like what's around me. So because I have the studio, I'm like, okay, cool. If it's a studio, I can't be like hanging people off forever. I mean, that's crazy. That's a health safety issue there. So then what I'll do is like, okay, cool. I've got a table here, so it needs to be like a conference type of thing with someone sitting on one side, the other, and then there's somebody else on the other side. And and then I start thinking like what ideas are associated to somebody like being across from each other and talking. Like it can't be a friend to just be across wherever. So then I'm like, okay, cool, let me just start throwing ideas. Like is it a seance, is it this, is it a meeting, is it like an interview, wherever. And then I'm like, okay, if it's seance, it could be like this, it could go this way. Does it go wrong, does it go right? If it goes right, is it as bad as if it went wrong? So I start thinking of different possibilities, and that's when you start plotting, and that's where I mentioned where like when you have one idea, then you start getting millions of ideas out of that, and it becomes hard to like focus. So the way that I filter through the ideas is like what's the most achievable, so and what's the most entertaining. So I'd rather see something that goes wrong rather than something goes right. Maybe that shows a bit of my my attitude to certain things. But like it's at the end of the day, it's still an attitude, and everything's fine. Uh, so I'm just like, oh, it's better if the interview or the conference or seance goes wrong. So then I'm like, if it goes wrong, then it has to go from start, middle, finish. So starting, we introduce the characters. Middle, we tell you what happens or what's going on, and then the end is that thing that we've explained goes wrong, and it goes wrong in within 4 minutes, 3 minutes, wherever, and we just start writing. That's how I filter through it. So it's basically just literally filtering through. It's like this filter has nothing in there so far, and now we'll just put this muddy, filthy water full of ideas, and it'll get drained and filtered into this cup, and eventually there's drops, and out of that there'll be something, and you can now use it for something else. So that's how we kind of filter through what we get to film. Majority of the times, because as I mentioned, we don't have a lot of budget. Um, it'll just be we'll filter through our ideas by how achievable it is to film. So at the end of the day, we always want to film something that's like easy, but not in a bad way or a good way or whatever. It's just like easy meaning like, okay, like you don't want to be like filming something that's uh like you don't want to be filming people that's like who are floating off the floor wherever when you don't know if you can do VFX or wherever. If you can't do VFX, then it's hard to make something that looks achievable. At the end of the day, there's a quality that you want to abide by. Like I believe that I've kind of reached to a certain area where like our standard of work has gone from like here to there. So I can't be making films that just like hit down here. I'd rather want to like either go from here to above to the next stage. So so yeah, it's just basically like the way that I filter through my stuff is basically just what's achievable, what's around me. The resources that I have is basically just part of exactly like what's around me, and also by the quality the standard of work that you're already putting out there. If you're telling like a story, if you're telling really good stories in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then what's the point of kind of going back and telling 1 minute stories? You know what I mean? Let's try to like pushing forward. So, and as I mentioned in my previous video, like I remember when I was going and making those mini series for Harvest, I kind of had a bad experience telling long stories. So I just had to like trace back my steps and start back to like 1 minute, 2 minute micro short films. And that's the current road that we're currently at, because one thing I've learned is like making micro shorts is incredible if you have ton of ideas, because then you're like, okay, if I have this idea, like somebody like floating off this floor. Okay, that's one idea. Now we've got one thing about a seance going wrong. Okay, that's second idea. Now you got a third one about like this confession booth meeting that goes wrong. Let's do that. Now you got another one about like this science lab wherever where this robot is self-conscious. Now you got that idea. Now you got like another idea about this, that, the other. You can do all those because they're so quickly, you can quickly make them, so it gives you that forward momentum to tell incredible stories at a fast pace. But if you were to make a short film, then you got to do 1 day, 2 day, like when you think about, oh, I gotta shoot this for 2 days, oh man, when am I going to do the next thing? It becomes like a when question, and then that when becomes elongated by like the duration or the process that you currently have. If you have a terrible process, your films will probably take like months to make. But that depends entirely on like who you have around you. If you have an incredible team, then you that short film will probably look incredible. But if you have a terrible process and you have a terrible attitude, then you're basically taking so long that you just become demotivated to make your next film. And that's where we were a year ago. But right now we've got this momentum where we're just making stories as we go along. There's a standard of quality that we want to put out there. Just because we make something fast doesn't mean that like it's going to be a terrible quality. I've seen other people try to do or imitate what we're doing, which is like making high quality stuff at a fast pace, but they kind of lack the quality of work, because they basically would be happy to tell quantity and sacrifice. They'd rather sacrifice um, quality for speed. We don't we don't sacrifice quality for speed, but other people do. So when you sacrifice quality for speed, let's say in one scenario, the quality of I'm not just talking about the quality of the camera, I'm talking the quality of like the sound quality, the editing, the decisions that you make of like when should I cut to the other person, or should I establish this setting wherever. Like when you're working at a fast pace and you sacrifice quality over speed, you're just you make fast decisions to just get it done and work on the next thing. But with us, we believe that speed and quality come hand in hand. We believe that we want to tell this as fast as possible because people are out there waiting for us to basically show something brand new. Yeah, I mean, we know that if we take a bit longer, that's absolutely fine, because all that means is if we take a bit longer, is there'll be more people waiting for that project. That's what we believe in. And if the project is out there, we're making on the next one, it's too late for the new people that want to see the previous thing, because our quality is just, elevated to the next, you know. And our next goal is to basically make some projects with anamorphic glass, just because I think so far we've been making a lot of stuff with spherical lenses, and I think that we can really bump our quality at a brand new standard if we continue with that type of edge. So we look forward to sharing that. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. This was basically the films that inspired me and some questions and answers that I provided towards the end. I hope you like, subscribe, and please share. Please drop some comments below of what films that you really like from our YouTube channel. We look forward to making some new things for you to watch very soon. And thank you so much for being part of our family. And I'm really glad that you guys accept this little series, because I don't really see a lot of people in Birmingham kind of get on the camera and just talk about the filmmaking experience. At the end of the day, I've not had a shit ton of experiences, but I've had good ones, and experiences enough to just share. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you to the next one.